In case you've been wondering why Grasshopper's been missing, I have been kidnapped recently. If you look back to videos on, what is it, day 6 and 7, the trail angels, Mary Helen and Kathy, rescued me and insisted that I take some R&R and brought me, of all places, to Clearwater, Florida, where I swam in the swimming pool belonging to Mary Helen and stayed at her home. It was the most wonderful, relaxing time. Totally got spoiled by these ladies. But today, I'm back where I belong, here on the Appalachian Trail. And Kathy will be meeting me tomorrow. So
Yep.
I'm going to, so tomorrow, Kathy and I are going to be doing two of the Triple Crowns. So this is going to lead me to Dragon's Tooth. So I will do that today. I think it's 7 miles total, to Four Pines Hostel, where Mary Helen and Kathy will meet me. I don't want to get... and tomorrow we'll return to Four Pines and start hiking. No, north.
North.
I'll be the navigator.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Kathy will hike for me for a few days. We'll do McAfee Knob and Tinker Cliffs, and when Kathy goes home, I'll just keep on hiking. Actually, I'll come back to here and hike south to Hot Springs. So this is going to cover the majority of the section I missed when I had to wear that fandangled boot on my foot.
Yes.
And this is how I'm going to make up the miles. I'll clarify later, and actually you'll witness it because I'll be recording it. But yay, we're going to hike together, and I'm back on the trail.
And it's a beautiful day. It's August 24th on Friday, about
11 o'clock.
68,
or something like
70 degrees.
Yep, it's
beautiful.
Perfect hiking. Perfect hiking
what
weather.
A great place to start on this bridge.
Too bad I don't need a water supply. So, but yeah, so I'll be back in just a little bit so you can see Dragon's Tooth if I don't fall off.
No, you won't.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see
we love
you later. Bye-bye. This is the trail. I just have to bushwhack. I can hardly get through these plants. I'm in Virginia now. I flipped back from Pennsylvania, where I was not too long ago. I had hiked into Duncannon and spent the night in a church basement, which was really beautiful, clean, and the best shower, I think, of the whole trail. And then hiked out for a few days and got up just south of Pine Grove. I'd have to look at the map and see exactly where it was, but got up there, and the AT forked off to the left, and it was the end of the day. I was going to go maybe another mile to where I wanted to tent, but I saw a great tenting area just off to the right, so I just stepped off and pitched my tent. And I was, I think, the tiredest I have ever been. I just hit a wall, mentally and physically. It wasn't a challenging day. Actually, that whole terrain from Hot Springs on was really kind of easy, really flat. But I just started missing my kids, and everything started getting to me, I think. A lot of it was knowing that the people that I started with back in April, they're all in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire. Some of them have summited. Actually, I don't know any who have summited yet, but they're up, further north. There's no way I would catch them. If they've made it that far, unless there's an injury, they'll make it all the way. And I'm not comparing myself to them, but it's just a fact that I'll never... The calendar's against me, let's put it that way. I don't want to say I'll never anything. In order for me to complete 2,200 miles this year, this season, and be considered a through hiker, you have to do all the miles within 1 season, 1 year. So I was in Pennsylvania, and I could have, and what I was going to do was finish the rocks there and get into, I think, Delaware Water Gap. And my friend Joe, who lives in that area, but is from Massachusetts, had agreed to meet me there and drive me up to Massachusetts. And I could have just hopped on the Appalachian Trail there in Massachusetts in the Berkshires, or get a friend or family member to drive me into New Hampshire, or even up to Katahdin and hike south. But I could have, the point is, I could have skipped from Pennsylvania and just gone up and gotten Maine and New Hampshire out of the way. Those are the most important to get out of the way soon, because the weather turns bad up there. Mount Washington has its own, weather pattern. Mount Katahdin closes in mid-October, and even before that it can get pretty treacherous for a fairly novice hiker. I don't know if I'm novice anymore, though. I don't know. But anyway, I could do that, get Maine and New Hampshire out of the way, and that would probably take, I don't know, 6 weeks or something like that. And then just continue hiking south to Pennsylvania. And then that would have finished everything, the whole northern section. But that would probably bring me into around Thanksgiving by the time I did all of that. Then I would still have to come back to where I am now and finish the section that I missed when I had to wear the cast on my foot, that air cast. So if you remember, I stepped off in Hot Springs and North Carolina, and went to the emergency room, and they took care of the fracture, but I needed to take the month off. So I took a Greyhound bus up to Glasgow, Virginia, and stayed at the hostel and did a work-for stay. And then from Glasgow, the owner of the hostel just brought me up to Waynesboro, where he has another hostel, and that's the beginning of the Shenandoahs. And I hiked from there, from Waynesboro, Virginia, up through Pennsylvania, where I got up. So that's a lot of words to say that I have that whole section from Hot Springs into Waynesboro to make up. And I would, if I went for the whole hike, I would have finished Pennsylvania, skipped up to Maine, done the whole northern section. That would be Thanksgiving. Then I would come back probably to Waynesboro and then head south and get all the way to Hot Springs. And that would be Christmas, probably even mid to late January at my pace. And that's what made me really, really sad and really kind of just face the facts when I was in the tent there after I left Duncannon, and I was just south of Pine Grove. Climbed into my tent one night randomly, stealth camping, physically exhausted. I couldn't bend the toes on my left foot. I just, for whatever reason, I was really tired that day, more than usual. And I climbed into the tent, and maybe it was the physical exertion, but by the next morning, I could barely roll over. I was so tired, just exhausted. I didn't feel sick, so at first I thought maybe I'm coming down with something, but I ended up feeling fine. But being that physically exhausted added to just the day after day after day, physical toll, which I actually felt great and still feel so healthy and strong, that more than any other time in my life that I can think of. But I just mentally hit a wall and started calculating the things I just told you, and the reality set in. Could I finish the through hike? I have confidence in my body and that I could do it. New Hampshire and Maine would be challenging, but I really think I could. My limitation is that my body just conks out after 10 to 13 miles a day, and by the time I get to New Hampshire, it'll be half that. I probably couldn't do more than 8 or 9 a day, maybe, I don't know. But it would take me till January, and I'm not willing to miss my family, especially over the holidays. I need to get home, I need to get a job, I need to contribute financially to the household. My husband and children have been sacrificing for me to be out here, and I so appreciate that. I love you. While I'm out here chasing this dream, but I need to get back there. I need to earn a living, I need to be with my children, and I need to be a mom. And January, that's really pushing my luck. So, it's not like when people say, well, the trail will always be here. Yes, it will, absolutely, but I can't just come back and take months off to finish a through hike. Yes, I can section hike and make up the section up north where I missed. So basically my goal is, from where I am now, to do as many miles as I can until I'm done. Either my body says, okay, go home, or things are too tough at home and I need to get there, or I just plain need to hug my kids, whatever. So my goal is to finish the sections I missed. Wow, It's a really cool bird. Is it an... What is it? What is it? Hold on, hold on. Oh, it was beautiful, huge. I don't know if it was an osprey or... No, I don't know if they're up here. Maybe an eagle? Oh man, a vulture? No, he's gone. Anyway, to finish as many of the miles in this section that I can, and added to the miles I've already done, from Georgia to Hot Springs, and then from Waynesboro up to Pennsylvania. Any missed miles are deducted, and I will tally them up, and it's very likely I will have done half the miles, about 1,100 miles on the trail, and that would make me really happy. As a matter of fact, I would be in shock and awe at myself. So I'm almost at Dragon's Tooth right now, if you look that up. I'm looking forward to it because if you heard me on previous videos, I like the big rock scrambles. I think those are fun. I don't like this, you know, just walking on a trail up and down. Give me a big rock like this to have to climb up and sit on and scooch down on my fanny to get off. That's what I like. So Dragon's Tooth itself is just this big monolith, but it's coming down from there that previous hikers that I've run into have said it's pretty tough. So I'm looking forward to that, even though it makes me nervous. So I'll be popping around between Hot Springs and Waynesboro and filling in all the miles that I can and having a blast. I knew when I was in Pennsylvania and making this decision, if I had gone home, I would have regretted missing this section. There are some of the most beautiful places in this area that I had missed. So I knew I wouldn't go home until I at least came to Dragon's Tooth, McAfee Knob, Tinker Cliffs, Grayson Highlands with the ponies, and just got back into the hills here. It's been so flat up in the northern section. So I'm back in the mountains where I'm going to be doing some strenuous activity here. And so whenever I stop, I stop. I hope that you'll bear with me and we'll see where I go. But if you've tuned in, it's not going to be a full 2,000-mile through hike. My goal right now is 1,100 miles, or at least 1,000, and then who knows what I'll do after this hike, because I'm not going to curl up and die. I'm not old. I'll act old later, remember? So I don't know. I've always wanted a parachute. Holy cow, I just jumped a mile. Well, I just heard this big noise and looked over. I'm like, oh my God, is it a bear? And there was a deer just barrel ass running. He was like, is it hunting season? Should I be wearing orange? He was just running full force. He right out of the woods, across the trail and into the woods on the other side. I don't think I've ever seen a deer running that fast, so I'm wondering what he's running from. Hello, guy. Hello. Hey. Where's the trail? What worries me about this are ticks. I love the placement of this tattoo by the recommendation of NERP. Because when I hold my trekking pole, that's the AT symbol for anyone who doesn't know. When I hold my pole and walk, it is facing forward. So when I'm tired, I just look down at that and say, keep walking, keep going forward, never backwards. nice spot to have some lunch. Let's see. I sit on this rock and look at this beautiful view. Don't fall! Yeah. I think I'll sit over here on this rock and enjoy a tuna fish sandwich. Something new. So something just happened that has only happened to me once that I can remember. Maybe twice, but I don't think so. I went the wrong way. I didn't even notice that there was a fork. I came over some rocks and stayed on the path to the left. It didn't take me too long, maybe 50 yards or so, to realize the ground seemed really soft. It was really just really soft dirt, and it was a pretty steep decline. I looked around, I didn't see a blaze, but I hadn't gone too far, so I said, well, let me go, 1 or 2 minutes and look for a white blaze and see. And it kept going down, and I just had a gut feeling that it was the wrong way. So I pulled out my gut hooks and I pulled out the map, and it did show that I was going in the same direction, the proper direction, but it looked like the little arrow that shows where I am was just slightly off of the AT, and that didn't make sense. So I walked, probably 5 minutes and maybe 10 minutes, holding the GPS, and it was following the AT, but the little arrow wasn't on it. So then I thought, maybe this is a different trail, but it's just running along the AT. So I didn't want to backtrack because it was really a steep decline, so now I had to climb. And if I was wrong and I was on the right trail, then I'd have to go down again. But I preferred to do that than stay on the wrong trail for a long time. And I'm glad I did, because once I backtracked and climbed up, there it was. It was the set of rocks. It forked, and the way the rocks were formed, they were kind of high on my right-hand side, and it was behind that the AT led. So I went on this, it was a black blaze that I saw there at that moment, which blended in with the dark trees, so that wasn't really cool. AT, can you put a better white blaze at that point? But I went probably 10 minutes out of my way down and then 10 minutes back, so I lost 20 minutes of my day. I'm just glad I didn't continue on. And I'm looking for for dragon's tooth. I should be there any minute. Meanwhile, look at this view. I've missed this being in Maryland. I just got a bee in my eye. Being in Maryland and Pennsylvania and all, there really wasn't any views, but that's really pretty. Oh, it's nice to be back up in the hills. It's a beautiful breeze today. It's not so hot as it was. Okay, let's go find where the dragon lost his tooth. One of my worst fears is being alone in a place where I'm in potential danger. And word has it that those ledges there coming down from Dragon's Tooth are pretty hairy. And I'm willing to try it. I want to try it. I'm going for it. But I really feel better if somebody was there. If not to catch me, to hold my hand, or to call 911. Oh, there's a sign up here, so I must be getting close. Tooth, 0.1. This way. Blue blaze. Here's the famous Dragon's Tooth. Not sure it's allowed, but I'm not climbing up there. I have seen photos of people doing it, but the part that I'm worried about is coming up. You'll see. That was fun. I haven't gotten to the scary ledges yet, but there were some young men from Virginia Tech there at Dragon's Tooth, so I got a really cool picture of them, and we talked for probably 10-15 minutes. They were really, really nice. And then a group of girls showed up, so I got a picture of them too. But the guys left, and the girls are heading in this direction. They're having a lunch or dinner or whatever right now, so I they're heading over toward the ledges, so I told them I was heading this way, but that if it got too scary and I wanted company, that I would just sit and eat some Oreos and wait for them, and they said that would be totally fine because they are coming this way and they get it. It is kind of steep, so I'll just scope it out. But you know what I did? I climbed about a little less than halfway up Dragon's Tooth, up the backside, so it wasn't very challenging, but there was a point that I just couldn't hoist this big old fanny up anymore, so I stopped. But heading toward the cliffs, or the ledges, I don't know. Seems to be par for the course, that the rocks are just that much out of my reach. So I have to sit on my bum and slide and ruin my pants. Ah! Oh, I'm gonna have a hole in my boots. My day is almost over. I feel bad because I needed to call or text Kathy and Mary Helen to let them know when I would be at Four Pines Hostel for them to pick me up, but I have no service, so I'll have to use the phone at the hostel. Hopefully they'll be okay with that if I'm not staying there, but I don't want them worrying because it took me a little longer to hike today. I think it was 8 miles, just because of all the rocks and all that. So my knees hurt. Going down, especially on rocks, is really hard on the feet and knees, but it doesn't expend as much energy. Going up makes me out of breath, but yeah, so it was a big slowdown today just because it was so much downhill and so rocky. So I think I'm probably about a half a mile from the hostel, so hopefully Kathy and Mary Helen aren't thinking that I'm dead. We'll go get a bite to eat, stay at the hotel in Roanoke. Mary Helen, bless her. Bless you, Mary Helen, I know you're watching this. I've never in my life met more generous people, but Mary Helen, all you've done, Kathy too, but right now Mary Helen, the hotel and the meals and welcoming you into her home, really, I mean, they broke the mold after they made you, and I mean that in a good way. Anyhow, as soon as I get service, I'll be calling and we'll go back to the hotel. I'll spend one more night there, and then Kathy and I will pack up our real backpacks and hit the trail for a few days, and it will be great. I can't wait to hike with Kathy.